Leap of Fate podcast fans. Welcome to this week's episode with yours truly, Randy Silver. As always, I want to start by thanking you for listening, my loyal audience. Loft Gang, y'all are the best. We have a great episode for you this week. I have singer, artist Kaite Louise on. She's going to talk all about becoming an artist, singing, taking that leap of faith on herself to try to go pursue the dream of becoming, a super international artist. Before we get to it, let's just talk about what Kaite is and what she does. Kaite has had a dream her whole life to become a performer. And originally, she started as a concert pianist. Go to her YouTube, Kaite Louise. She is so good. So good. I've been jamming out to her YouTube the past 2 days, and I'm so impressed at her talent. Compound that with the fact that she's an amazing singer and songwriter. She has that it factor that a lot of people want. And I'm so happy to see her. I just met her 3 days ago when she reached out to me about coming on the podcast to see where she's at and what she's doing. She embodies leap of faith because when she was 18, she took that leap of faith on herself, moved out of her parents' house to pursue performing and becoming an artist. She sold out her first concert at Eden Cafe, a 40-person venue. You have to start somewhere. And she started at 40 people. She's now, since 2018, performed all over the US, New York, Vermont, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Washington, D.C. She's performed with other major acts such as Skeeter Creek, Dolly Rots, Madison Vinberg, Seriously, The Accents, Talia Dennis, and more. That could be enough. Now, let's on top of that, she's a mother at 23. She's a mom, a beautiful, beautiful baby. She has a video on her YouTube of her singing with her baby around her chest, and it's so beautiful. So all in all, she is an amazing person. I'm so excited to have Kaite on. She embodies the leap of faith with her pursuit of perfection to be an artist and her craft to just be what she wants to be. And that's why I want her to come on, because she'll talk all about having that mental block, getting over it, leap of faith, how she's able to do all this all together. So that being said, I know Kaite's been listening to me. She's probably blushing. Kaite, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. That was quite an introduction.
You're welcome. Hopefully the audience got a great overview of who you are. Do you feel like I missed anything there?
No, I mean, that was great. That was awesome.
Awesome. So now, in your words, let's start with you becoming an artist. I think we can just start there. You always had that dream. How did you make that dream become a reality?
Oh man, my parents really didn't give me much of a choice because they kicked me out at 18.
Really?
So yeah, so I didn't want to go to college basically, and they were like, "Well, once you're 18, you're an adult, so you have to move out." And so I moved out 3 weeks after my 18th birthday, and I mean I knew that coming up for the few months, so I got a job at Starbucks that summer. And I also got a job at my local church playing music for them. So that was kind of my first music gig. And I worked at Starbucks and that church for a year. And then a year after that, I felt like I got enough gigs to quit Starbucks. And I've been gigging. I started teaching piano lessons and kind of just doing that whatever music thing I could do to get hired to just basically stay a musician. So I'm 23 now, and I've been able to be a full-time musician since I was 19. And
which is awesome.
Yeah, it's quite an accomplishment. So what I'm trying to work on now is becoming a full-time artist. So getting out of right now, I just teach piano lessons. I don't work at the church anymore, but now I'm trying to be able to make an income through my songwriting, and that is that's super hard, but that's my goal.
So what's the difference between a musician and an artist? That might be a basic question, but I just want to make sure we understand that.
So a musician is just someone who gets paid to do anything musical, right? So if I went and played, I don't know, classical music in the background of a bar or something, that's kind of a musician. But if I'm Kaite Louise, I'm doing a show at a bar, that's different, right? So
Yep.
Teaching piano lessons, I'm just a musician. But when people are coming to hear my songs as Kaite Louise, that's when I'm really an artist.
And how are you right now making money as an artist, or is it just strictly as a musician?
So, well, before COVID, I did a lot of shows, and that's was a great way for me to make money. I did a couple gigs a weekend, and I also have a Patreon where some of my fans
I
support me.
love Patreon.
Yeah, yeah. So basically Patreon, I'm in California now. I just recently moved to LA,
West Coast,
and
best coast.
yes, it is the best coast. So once now actually restaurants are just now starting to open up. So now I can kind of go pursue gigs here too and get that income back.
Got it. How do you go from performing at restaurants to say starting to get like open up for shows, and like how do you get noticed by talent agencies and things like that?
Yeah, so I mean, like, really, it always comes down to how many tickets you can sell. And so if you can sell tickets, you can do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Then you just kind of have to um, find the right people. So when I was in New York, I did restaurant gigs all the time, and then occasionally I would do ticket-based shows, and I would I mean, I built my fan base from going to like the restaurants and stuff, and then I would let them know that I had a show. And eventually I was able to sell about like 100 tickets a show when I was living in New York. So now that I'm living in LA, I like just got here a few months ago. So now it's kind of like a whole new start.
What do you think of LA living? I live in San Diego. I grew up in Orange County, so I've been SoCal through and through most of my life.
Yeah. Well, the weather's so much better because in New
It's
York
so nice.
there's so much snow in New York. It sucks. So
Where'd you grow up?
so it's actually I've been all over. So I was actually born in Portland, Oregon,
Mm, okay.
and then we moved to New York when I was 8. So I mostly grew up in New York.
Got it. Got it. So obviously you lived on coast to coast. Now you're in LA. So you're going through now that shows can start opening up, restaurants open up, you can start playing. Besides for just playing the piano and doing lessons, you talked about to me before the podcast, you have rental properties. And this is something I want to
Yeah.
touch on a little bit. I'd love to talk about this because I've talked about owning a home, but we've never talked about how rental properties can help supply as an income and you sustain off of it. So can you talk about owning rental properties? How do you make that happen? How you're able to survive a little bit off of that?
Yeah. So actually, the reason I own rental properties is really like because of my husband. So real estate is his passion.
Got it.
And so when he met, he just talked to me about this dream. It was just a dream of his. And he got into his first property with 3.5% down through an FHA loan. And we were kind of talking about he bought a duplex, and he was like, all right, how can I afford a second down payment? So with like FHA, you can only have one loan through like FHA. Once you buy something as an investment, you have to put more down. So then we realized, well, we're not married yet. Um, if I put it in my name, the second house, then we only have to put 3.5% down. We don't have to put that larger down payment.
Interesting.
So he bought the first one in his name. I bought the second one in my name. He lived in that one for a year, and then we both lived in the second one I bought for a year. And then we moved to California. So now we have 2 duplexes in New York State that are just making us money, and it's pretty cool because it's helping. That's another thing that's helping like fund our lifestyle. So
I love that. That is so cool. So you guys don't even live in New York anymore and you still have that income coming in month over month. What happens though if say your tenants have issues? Do you have a property manager who helps you guys take care of the property?
so no, because so we have people like that we will call. So if some like they're the plumbing issue calls, we'll just call a plumber.
Okay, fair
You
enough.
know what I mean? We were
Yeah,
talking about like hiring a property manager, but they are so expensive and things don't come up that often. And so it's really just like we just need to call somebody. We hired somebody to mow the lawn, we hired somebody to plow the driveway. And it's only every few months that something breaks. So
got it. And so obviously you said that's helping you guys. I feel like that could be a whole separate podcast. I could go down a whole rabbit hole, not trying to do that.
yeah.
But so you're doing the rental properties, helping with that. You're obviously an aspiring artist, and you're a mother. So talk about how you juggling all that in a 9 to 5 or like in a day to day. What's it
It's
like being a
crazy.
young mom at 23? Because usually, obviously, people a little bit older when they're a mom.
Yeah. Yeah, I like plan I didn't plan on having a baby this young. It just kind of happened. You know how it is. But it's really good. He's kind of an easy baby. So it's
Uh,
really nice.
what's his name?
His name is Augie. Well, his full name is Augustine, but we call him Augie.
Augie. I like that.
Yeah. I really like unique names. Cause like I'm Katie and I feel like everywhere I went there was like a bajillion Katies. So I really like the more unique names.
Better than Karen at this point.
Oh yeah. Oh, I feel bad for all the Karens.
Me
Yeah.
too.
I really want, you know what? I've been wanting to like Google how many people were named Karen in 2020 because I'm wondering like how many people just
just,
totally
just know
missed
that.
that memo.
So, does Augie give you inspiration to write songs about him or the family? Like, I'm sure that helps you in that mindset.
Yeah, I've kind of like toyed around with it. I have like a really hard time writing songs about like positive things. Like I feel like I a lot of my songwriting comes out of like pain.
Mm. Yeah,
So
a
I
lot of
like
artists say that.
yeah, so I have like a hard time writing about like things that are good in my life. Like I don't know.
So when you start to write a song, what's the process that you go through to write the song?
I mean it really changes. A lot of most of the time like something will hit me like I don't I don't know, like I'll just experience something or I just think of an idea and it kind of like inspiration strikes, you
Got
know?
it. Yeah.
And a lot of times what I'll do is I I'll just open up my phone and I'll do a voice memo because a lot of times I'm like in the car or I'm like in a point where I can't really sit down and write a song. And then when I'm ready to sit down and write a song, I like go through my voice memos. I like listen to all these like topics that were in my head and then I just like, start going through them.
And that kind of reminds me of Eminem. Like he there in a way though, because he put all his like ideas into shoe boxes. He ran a piece of paper and shoebox. When he was ready to like create a song, he'd go through his shoebox and be like, okay, this is how I can create the song. You're just doing it in a modern way. It's like I don't need a shoebox anymore. I can just do a voice memo. And then when I sit down and really put it together, you're able to piece your thoughts together into a cohesive song.
Yeah, this is so funny because we talked about Eminem in the last podcast. We
I
did
mean,
too. I'm like,
he's a
that's so
legend.
funny.
I love
Yeah.
Eminem.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So, do you think of the lyrics and then you're able to compose the music go with it, or do you have music composed and you try to fit the lyrics to the song?
I feel like they come like both together. Like I'll have an idea and like sing something. Like I wrote a song the other day. I was driving and it was night and I looked up at the moon and it kind of like I don't know how to describe it, but it looked like it had like tipped over. Like it was just at a weird angle.
I got you.
So I just was looking at, and then I just like kind of like flows out of you, like it looks like the moon tipped over, and that just like I think they like kind of happen at the same time, you know?
Hmm.
And then I
So,
just like went off of that.
are you like driving the car? You're with your husband, and you're like, "Oh my god, I have an idea! Like, pull over. Sorry, I need to like sing this out really quickly."
That time I was just by myself, and I just like grab my phone and do a voice memo at that point. And sometimes I'll just kind of like, I don't know, I can do it while I'm still driving. I'll just sing a few things and then I'll kind of like work out the lyrics and then I can't write things down because if I write it down, I forget it like halfway through writing the sentence down. It takes too long. So I have to do the voice
Hmm.
memo. It's quicker.
I get that. Like for me, I'm good at memorizing things, but I'm not good at memorizing lyrics. So if someone's like, yo, can you sing the lyrics to that song? I'd be like, I actually can't. But if you're like, yo, can you memorize this like 2 minute speech and recite it? I could totally do that. So it's interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like everybody has like different memories. Like some people can memorize certain things really easily. Like I can memorize lyrics and numbers like really easily. But like I'm so bad with like I my husband always makes fun of me. Rewatch the same TV shows all the time because I just forget what happened. When
I've
it's
done that. Maybe like you fall asleep halfway through, you're like, great, I have to rewatch the whole show.
yeah, yeah. And like I just can't I don't know. like I'll be like, oh, this show's really good. Do you want to watch it with me? And he's like, no, like you already seen it. And I'm like, it's okay. I don't know what happened. I dead serious. Be watching like a movie or something I watched like a few years ago, and I'm like, I have no clue how this ends.
That's good. You can just rewatch Dodgeball every day over and
I
over again.
know. Like
Who will win?
I've gotten so much entertainment from Friends. Like I've watched that so many times and I forget every time.
See, for me, that would be The Office. I could rewatch any episode of The Office any
Oh
day of the
yeah.
week.
All those, and like, see, there's so many crappy sitcoms out there. There's only like a few that are so gold, like The Office. So it's kind of like I feel like a nice superpower I have to forget, because then I can just like enjoy it so many times.
Yeah, so this is going to be a professional segue. Have you ever forgot your lyrics on stage?
Oh yeah, all the
Oh,
time.
really? So let's
Hmm.
talk through that. What do you do in that? Do you just improv?
I remember, yeah, it depends on how I forget it. I remember watching like a live concert from Sarah Bareilles, and I felt like she handled it so well. She forgot her lyrics, and she was just like, oh fuck, I forgot the lyrics. And I just thought that was like, she just like confidently admitted to it, and I was like, that's kind of like the best way. Just shit, forgot, oh well. I mean, when I would do gigs, I had 3 hours of music memorized.
That's very
So
impressive in itself to be able to
it's a
like,
lot.
yeah, that's probably 20, 30 songs easily.
Yeah, about 20 to 30, depending on how much the audience talks to me.
And do you ever get people who request you songs and you're like, oh, I've already played that song, or like it's the same request every time?
I mean, sometimes they'll request something I've already played, and then I'll just replay it because I want to hear it. Um, Sometimes I don't know, I've gotten some weird requests. It's hard to like, because when you're memorizing music, there's only like a certain amount of songs you can memorize. So like people will request things and I won't know the song. And if I don't know it, I just have to say no. And I feel like I'm breaking their
You're
heart.
like, sorry, let me go on my phone. Let me look it up really quick.
But sometimes people request things that I know no one else wants to hear.
Such as.
I can't think of a good example.
So you forgot it already because it wasn't
Like,
worth it.
I know. Well, you know what? One time, oh my gosh, one time I was playing at this restaurant and a bunch of kids were there, and they made me sing Baby Shark, and I was like, this is not why I got into the business. I don't want to sing this,
And of course, they
but
probably didn't give you a good tip.
no, no, yeah. What was the other one? Someone requested a Billy Joel song, which is actually a good song, but oh crap, which one was it? I think it was "We Didn't Start the
I
Fire."
was about to say we didn't start the fire. That song is so
And
much fun to sing.
I have like two Billy Joel songs in my set, but that wasn't one of them. And this guy was like, "I'll give you $5 if you sing 'We Didn't Start the Fire.'" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like, I just don't have it. Like, I don't have it memorized. There's a lot of lyrics in that song, and I just didn't like. I can't just pull it out of my head. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so." But he was like, "No, no, 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 take the $5." And I was like, "Look, I'm not trying to like hurt, like I don't have the lyrics in front of me. Like I just don't have it prepared." And he was like, "What? You don't want my money?" And I'm like,
You're like, please let me just sing my music.
"I know." So, I mean, that's just kind of hard. I mean, I like to put on a show, so I'm not like the type to like do a piano bar and like, if someone requests something I know, that's one thing, but
I got you. So can we do a couple rapid fire questions for you?
yeah, sure.
The venue you want to play at the most.
I mean, well, honestly, the Super Bowl, but that's like
Yeah.
never gonna happen.
Oh, I believe that would be unbelievable.
But that's like the best gig you could ever get, I
Good.
think.
What if it was just a stadium like Madison Square Gardens, Red Rock, something like that?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean all of them, all of the above, I guess. Yeah, we could go with Madison Square Garden. That would be pretty cool.
Is there an artist that you'd want to play for or play with the most?
I would love to play with Lady Gaga
That would be
because
fun.
she's really good at the piano. And I just feel like we could do some cool things.
Is there someone that you look up to who as inspiration?
Ah, Billy Joel was so inspiring to me because he just weaves the classical piano and with his songs, and not a lot of artists do that. So I,
Billy Joel.
yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from him.
What advice would you give to someone who's an aspiring artist?
I would say if only do it like because you love music. Like you have to look at what it takes. And if you do all that work and never become famous, ask yourself if it's worth it, if it would still be worth it. And if it is, then go for it, you know?
That's deep. That's really deep. I love that. So, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to chase their dreams, regardless if it's an artist or anything like that?
I mean, same thing. And I would say like don't put your identity in being successful, especially if you're doing something like creative, because there's only a certain amount of people that make it, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so if you don't love what you're doing, if you don't love the grind, the work, like I have amazing memories of some awesome shows I've done, and like I'm going to cherish those forever whether or not tomorrow I like blow up or not. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's really all about just loving your craft.
Can you tell us about one of those amazing memories?
Yeah, I mean, I remember one of my favorite shows was at Cahoe's Music Hall, and
Where's the
it,
music hall?
Cahoe's Music Hall.
In what city?
It's in Cahoe's, New York.
Got it. Sorry, I've never
And
heard didn't know that. My
yeah, it's
apologies.
not no, it's not a big city or anything, but it was like probably like a 500 seat venue, and I was sharing the stage with a couple artists I was opening, and um I remember just feeling like I had the crowd in the palm of my hand, and so many people were like there to see me. And I remember the lights were like so bright I couldn't see like anyone in the audience. I sold like I think 100 tickets beforehand, and a lot of people came through the door. And I just remember like someone screaming like "I love you, Katie," and I had no I had no idea who it was, and it was like really cool. And it was just um we had just like so many awesome memories from like that particular show. So I wish I could like go back and relive it.
I'm reliving it through your face right now. Like when you just talked about the passion, the dream, like I could see that coming off of your face talking about it and the smile that you had. So if you listen
Yeah.
like YouTube, or excuse me, if you listen on Apple or Spotify, please watch this on YouTube. You can see how big of a smile she has right now. It's so beautiful. So
Aw.
let me ask you this question. What's that feeling being like on stage when the lights are bright, the crowd's cheering your name, and you just know that you're doing what you love?
It's amazing. I mean, I get goosebumps. I feel like so blessed because I do have like a handful of memories like that, but they don't come around every day, especially now that like we have a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I really in my head I'm thinking like this is why I work so hard. It's like for these moments because I know people don't get to experience that. Um, I don't know. Some people like I feel like I was born to perform. It's like it's the best thing. I just feel so connected to the audience, you know?
Mm-hmm. When in as you just talked about the pandemic, like there hasn't been a lot of live music. What do you feel like you've missed by not being it? Do you feel like you haven't been able to fulfill like who you are? You feel like there's a part of you missing because you're so used to performing in front of people, being on stage. That's just been like, as for not just you, artists in general, it's probably been really hard to not have that connection with the fans as you used to.
Yeah, I feel like so rusty too. Like I'm just starting to reach out to like places in LA to perform. And I actually feel kind of scared because I haven't performed since September. And I don't think I have my music memorized anymore. Like I have to kind of work up my I've been working on getting my set back up, but I'm like very nervous because when you're performing every weekend, you just get into like the feel of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
very much second nature. So I don't know. I'm
I
worried
feel
about
that.
that.
Like I'm an athlete and like I play soccer, and if I go a week without playing, like I lose my touch. Like you're saying the
I
same thing. If
know.
I go a week without performing, like I'll lose like that groove of my sets and that. So I feel that. So how have you been able to try to maintain yourself through the pandemic? Like you said, the grind, the work, it's a lot. What goes into your day of you practicing and perfecting your craft?
Yeah, so I kind of have like a bunch of different things. So one thing I'm trying to do is post things regularly on TikTok, because that's a great platform right now. That's kind of my main social media that I work on. And then after, so I try to get a few videos filmed, and then after that, I spend some time songwriting. I spend some time working on my set. Um, and I also spend time like reaching out to different gigs and podcasts, and I don't get all that done in one day, but like probably over the course of the week, that's what
Mhm.
I'm working on. So
Got it. And if people want to look you up on your socials, how can we find you?
yeah, so all my socials are linked to my website, which is iamkaitelouise.com. And if you
Check it right
use
here. You guys will see it or in the bio.
yeah, and if you use the username I am Kaite Louise, that's my username on all platforms. And if you guys want to be like extra special and go donate like $5 a month to Patreon, that would like make my day. So,
Awesome. And then
but
can you say what Patreon is for people who don't know?
yeah, so Patreon is basically I put very exclusive content on Patreon. So there's certain songs that I write that only my Patreon get to hear. And it starts with just like $5 a month, and it just helps support my music. So right now, I think I have about $100 a month worth of Patreon supporters. So since that's not really like enough to fund my lifestyle, I pump all that into like ad marketing um, through social media to just try to boost my name out there. So
Got it. And for those of you, like I hate to use an analogy, but I'm gonna use it. Patreon was OnlyFans before OnlyFans. It's a way for creators to be able to connect directly with their fans. I have a Patreon for my Leap of Faith. I don't really use as much as Katie does.
no, yeah, I mean Patreon's awesome because when you listen, like, I mean, I would love for you guys to listen to my music on Spotify. But when you listen to one of my songs on Spotify, I earn like 0.005 cents. you
That's like
know,
nothing. Yeah.
it's like nothing, and you put so much, and it costs so much to even put stuff out there. So it's a way for people to kind of help support your art. And I have different tiers, and my highest tier actually is $30 a month. And once you donate to that, like after 6 months, I will write a song with you. So we'll do
Oh
like a
wow.
Zoom session, and we'll write a song, and I will post it on YouTube afterwards. Um, so that's kind of one of my fun. I'm like excited about that one. I have one person signed up for that right now.
I can't wait to see it. And again, what's
Yeah.
your YouTube if people want to go look at you on YouTube?
So if you search Kaite Louise, that's the name of my YouTube channel.
Perfect. And again, if you guys are wherever you're listening, just go to the bios over here. I help all her socials posted. Katie, I have a couple more questions as we round through third base
Sure.
here. Now that we come out of the pandemic, you said that you're looking to hopefully get some gigs going, everything. What is your overall 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan? Like, do you have benchmarks or goals for yourself that, like, I want to be able to perform here? I want to have this many followers. I want to be able to do this that you're working towards now that things will start opening up again?
Yeah, so when I was in New York, I got a lot of experience performing. And like I said before, when I did a show, I would be able to sell like 100 tickets. But that was only in New York. So my goal right now is I want to now take that to the next level. I want to be able to sell 100 tickets in like 10 different cities so that I can go on tour,
Mm-hmm.
and open up for another artist. So really being able to do like small tours like that, but still profitable tours, that's my goal. And if I could go to 10 cities and sell 100 tickets in each city, that would be like my dream.
That would be amazing. That would be
Yeah.
amazing. Is there a city or like say a music festival, Outside Lands, a Bonnaroo that is like the dream to play out for you?
No, I don't think there's a specific place or anything. I just want to like go across the country. Um and I feel like I want to just have that like small intimate fan base, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be like that indie artist that people are like, oh, you don't know like who I'm listening to, but she's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like, you know
feel
how
you.
it's like kind of cool to like love artists that no one else knows about.
Yep. Yep.
So
I would say for me, I saw Rufus when they first came to San Francisco. Rufus the Soul, if you guys don't know who they are, look them up. And they played in front of 25, 40 people, and it was so intimate. And now you see them playing in front of 100,000 people. I'm like,
that's
I
amazing.
was like, I was there when they first like really started getting big. And like, that's exactly what you just said is like, you feel that connection to the artist when you see them. And then you're on that journey and you get to grow with them and see them and you're investing in their story and you get to just see them make their dreams become reality. And you feel like you're a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. And I've definitely been that type of fan to other artists, and it's like the best feeling in the world. So,
Who would those artists be that you've seen like blow up?
um, one of my favorite like indie artists, her name is Kaylee Shore, and I think she's pretty cool. And I like discovered her in Nashville, and then she like went on this. She opened up for I think it was Sarah Evans, and she like came to my city, and I was like, this is so cool. So, um, yeah, she's grown quite a lot since I discovered her in Nashville. So that was cool.
Got it. Awesome. I love that. Hopefully people can say the same about you after listening to this podcast.
I hope so. We'll see. Yeah.
So last question for you. For people who again are trying to aspire to their dreams, like you're an entrepreneur, you're an artist, you do all this. If there was one thing they took away from this podcast, one thing they take away from your message, what would that be?
I mean, if you love your craft, go for it. And like, there's a lot of ways that you can make money with it without being at the top. You know, I think that I used to think you had to be at the very top to be able to do what you love for a living. And it's just not true. You know, there's a lot of like, especially with musicians, there's a lot of in between, you know?
Mm-hmm.
People basically think you're either the 1% or you're starving, but it hasn't been my experience. So it's worth going for.
I love that. And there's so much, like you said, not everyone's going to be doing the stadium tours around, but there's people opening up and playing music in cities worldwide. And if you get to
Right.
just do your passion and follow your heart, which is what we talk about week over week in this podcast, it doesn't matter how famous you are, whatever you're doing, as long as you're happy internally and you get that smile every day, like Katie is having this podcast talking about herself the whole day, then you won and you made your dreams reality. And that's what we want you to do in Leap of Faith is take that leap on yourself. Katie took the leap on herself to follow her dreams, and she's loving it with her husband, with her child, with her fan base. And I really think that we're going to see her doing big things the next year, 3 years, 5 years. I want you guys to have that same passion for yourself. Is go make whatever dream you have reality, and you'll be happy just like Katie is. That's why I wanted to
Thank
bring her
you.
on. My
I'm
pleasure.
so glad. I'm so glad.
As I said at the beginning, I think this is a really cool arc. So I'd love to get Katie to come back on in 6 months, 12 months. Let's hear how everything is going after the summer. Hopefully, we get to see her. If I can get myself to LA, I don't have a car. I'll come see her perform. No problem with that.
That
And
would be
yeah,
awesome.
one last time, Katie, how can we find you?
So you can go to my website, which is iamkaitelouise.com. All my links are on there. Or you can search Kaite Louise in Spotify, Apple Music. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I'm on all the things.
All the good, baby. And again, please go to the bios wherever you're at. We'll go ahead and get it in. If you want to, please subscribe to Leap of Fate. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all the good places. Please like, comment, rate. It helps me get my message out there as well of supporting you guys to helping you follow your dreams. Katie, thank you so much for coming on today. We're going to go ahead and do the sign off. So I would like you to repeat after me. If you can repeat after me in the singing voice, I think that'll make it that much better.
What?
I'm not going to sing though. I apologize. So I want you to repeat after me. Stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
Stay wealthy.
Stay wealthy.
And have a good week, fans.
Have a good week, fans.
Deuces.
Cool. Awesome.
Bye everybody.